Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to give you a more comprehensive summary of An Era of Darkness, The British Empire in India by Shashi Tharoor. This is a book that exposes the dark side of British colonialism in India and its devastating effects on the country. The book is based on a speech that Tharoor gave at the Oxford Union debate in 2015, where he argued that Britain owes reparations to its former colonies. He later expanded his speech into this book, which was published in India in 2016 and in the UK as Inglorious Empire, What the British Did to India in 2017. The book challenges the common narrative that British rule was a benevolent and civilizing force for India, and instead exposes the atrocities, exploitation, racism, and deindustrialization that the empire inflicted on the subcontinent. Tharoor uses historical evidence, statistics, anecdotes, and quotes to show how Britain drained India's wealth, resources, and human capital for its own benefit, and left behind a legacy of poverty, division, and violence. Tharoor also refutes some of the supposed gifts of British rule, such as democracy, railways, and the rule of law, and shows how they were either designed to serve British interests or already existed in some form in India before colonization. The book covers a wide range of topics, such as the economic impact of British rule. Tharoor shows how Britain systematically looted India's riches through taxation, trade policies, plundering of resources, and destruction of industries. He estimates that Britain's total debt to India is around $3 trillion. He also shows how Britain's industrial revolution was built on India's deindustrialization and the ruin of its textile industry. The cultural impact of British rule. Tharoor shows how Britain suppressed India's rich and diverse culture and imposed its own values and norms on the colonized people. He exposes the racism and prejudice that pervaded British attitudes towards Indians and how they justified their oppression. He also shows how Britain distorted India's history and identity by creating myths and stereotypes about its past and present. The political impact of British rule. Tharoor shows how Britain divided India along religious, linguistic, and ethnic lines to weaken its resistance and create loyal subjects. He also shows how Britain exploited India's resources and manpower for its own wars and interests. He also shows how Britain failed to deliver on its promises of self-government and democracy for India and instead prolonged its domination until it was forced to leave by a mass movement. The legacy of British rule. Tharoor shows how Britain left behind a broken and traumatized nation that had to deal with the consequences of its colonialism. He shows how Britain's partition of India led to one of the largest migrations and massacres in history. He also shows how Britain's policies created problems of poverty, inequality, communalism, corruption, and violence that still plague India today. The book has received mixed reviews from critics and readers. Some have praised it for its passionate and persuasive argument, its rich and detailed information, and its effective counter to the colonial apologists. Others have criticized it for its lack of original research, its factual errors, its selective use of sources, and its polemical tone. The book has also sparked debates and controversies over the role and responsibility of Britain in India's history and present.